All right, Oscar, your Houston Dynamo keep climbing the Western Conference after defeating the Vancouver Whitecaps 2-1 at home, thanks to Tab Ramos's inform and clinical attack. I think it's something that a lot of teams in the MLS lack. What are your thoughts in the boys in orange?
Y'all remember that LeBron meme, Cavs in 4? Hey, that's us right now. Easy. Easy.
Yeah,
no
fourth
problem.
place, right? That's
exactly.
insane. I don't think anyone had that written down coming into the season.
Literally, even now, if you look at the latest power rankings that came out today,
power rankings,
Tuesday, right? May 25th, if I'm not mistaken, they put Houston 17th in the league out of 2017.
Power rankings
That's the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my god, dude!
Who makes these? I want to have a conversation.
Power rankings are the most like normie thing you can do it's like so. It's just literally for like the casual. It's like the normie. Like, oh, let me see the power rankings.
Why do we need power rankings when there's
standings?
Right? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, you could have projections, no problem, if they're based on like good data. You know what I mean?
Guess my problem,
but like, I don't know the methodology behind these power rankings. Absolutely. Is it like the Cats power rankings that had like UH be terrible until like
Yeah, like my problem isn't with power rankings; it's people that put way too much onto power rankings, too much weight on them.
Anyways, my Dynamo, they are
our Dynamo.
Okay, you're literally a Dallas fan.
I'm not though. Like what?
Bro, what? I'm a Dynamo fan. The hell?
Okay, you literly said
the cap is. Oh my god.
Okay, let's all be honest here. You have a red Abby, and Javi has a green Abby.
Okay.
Do you think the colors meant nothing?
Okay.
You're a Dallas fan. Javi's an Austin fan. Everyone needs to know their place.
Okay. We're gonna troll people. Okay, Javi, have you lived in Dallas before?
No,
I never said Javi was a Dallas fan. I said he was an Austin fan because it's Abby green.
Have I ever lived in Dallas?
It don't matter where you live.
So.
You get paid to cover Dallas.
Bro, Oscar, I get paid.
Matter. This whole channel's hashtag forever orange.
Oscar.
Hey, y'all
have you ever lived in Dallas?
Me? Nah, dude. I
all right. So now you're a liar. Okay. Javi.
Me live in Dallas?
Javi, have you ever heard Oscar say the words "Dallas till I die"? DTID. I could have sworn I heard him say it a couple times.
I can't count on my fingers and my toes how many times you said that.
Why y'all capping me now? Y'all just trying to front for the pod. Okay. Let's get to the real song because literally y'all are clowns.
We got a Dallas gate over here. It's fine. Keep going. It's fine.
Are you done? Get it out of your system so we can continue.
You're good. I'm listening. Throw me some stats.
All right. Okay. The only stat you need to know is that we're fourth in the Western Conference. You're welcome.
I respect
that's it.
I respect
it. Know. I think Tab Ramos is the most underrated coach in the league right now.
Fox.
The slander my man gets with his nice suit, his little orange tie, him like fighting for his team against the Revs, the tactical consistency, the recruitment when you see Moneyball Pasher, when you see Fafa, when you see an Oruti that I think has like improves every single game consistently.
Are you ready
whether
for
he scores or not?
Are you ready for the
Memo Rodriguez, the homegrown player? Corona, the signing of the year in terms of like a big name. Vera holding it down. Derek Jones coming all the way back from the U.S. under 20 with Tab Ramos to come back as Patrice Vieira of the MLS. Can you get any better than Tab Ramos? I don't think so. That's all I have to say.
All right, the pod's over right there. That's all you get. The hot 5 minute take. Yeah, they're just they're playing so well, and they're sticking to what they're good at, and they are being, I think, most importantly, so clinical. And I think it's like, again, something that most teams, even if they're struggling or not, just lack in the MLS. Houston has the second worst XG in the conference, in the Western Conference, but are currently sitting fourth, and that just shows the
Clutch.
yeah,
Easy.
yeah, they're so clinical in attack. I mean, El Matador Urruti, man, that volley last game was insane.
Hey, all I'm saying,
Has to
Oruti
be
or
El
Sutton, bro.
Matador,
Oruti or Sutton. You tell
El
me.
Matador Urruti. It has to be the nickname. Easy.
Uh, I'm a little disappointed.
I'll
After
make it.
Moneyball, Pasher, and Fafinho,
I'll make it work.
I
I'll make it
expected
work.
more.
Watch, you'll be saying it in interviews next
You,
time.
you literally copied El Matador Kempes because he's Argentinian.
I mean,
I
but
don't
you
know,
could say
Philly. That one's
you could say Cavani got it off of him. You know, hey, strikers that do the little arrow thing. It's just there.
it's
It's
in their
What
blood.
about, what about Javier Hernandez?
it's written in stone.
You mean Chichadios? We only call him by that
that's
in this
Chita
podcast.
Yeah, that's I mean, Chicharito's already his nickname, but Chicha Dios.
Chichadios is a new nickname. He
Yeah.
came to the LA Galaxy to
We nicknamed his nickname.
and we'll get him a little chip, Yeah, no, but definitely. I mean, the Dynamo. In my 5-minute rant, I mentioned every player except the back four and the goalkeeper, but basically they're all great. We have Tyler Pasher back. He played a few minutes against
sign.
Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do much, but he's coming back. You give him some time, give him a game or two, he'll be back. I think there's a big key difference going forward, right? Though, so the first 4 games, up until that Dallas game, you had a Tab Ramos that was still trying to figure it out a little bit. You still had players that were still trying to fit in to acclimate to this new identity and fit in, figure out the role. Then they started figuring it out when you looked at the Sporting Kansas game, which they won thanks to an Urruti goal, or El Matador, as Sylvia would have me call it.
Please, thank you.
But they were not they did not have a healthy team. Tyler Pasher was out, and I still think the best lineup is Fafa, Urruti, Pasher, Memo, Corona, Vera. At center back, you can argue, but I put Boniek Garcia still there alongside Tim Parker. Fullbacks, we've seen them both the whole season, Valentin and Adam, right? If we have that team, that ideal starting 11, with everything figured out, like we've seen the last few games, I not only think they'll stay in 4th place, I think they could push for a higher seed, possibly. They do have their limitations, but they could at least push for more. The big concern is Tyler Pasher going to be injury prone? I don't think so. It's only one injury, but we need him to be healthy the whole season to do so. And I think it's just playing more games, getting them comfortable with each other. They're unlike Dallas and Austin. I don't think Tab Ramos needs to change anything significantly. One important news, in addition to Ted Segal potentially buying out the club, it looks like the Dynamo might buy a new center back / left back. More depth is always good because we've seen Boniek Garcia might have an off game, someone might get injured. So that's always good to have. But we'll talk about it more in the written preview about what that player is looking like. But just to confirm, because there was some, I don't want to call it misinformation, but a lack of communication between people on social. He hasn't technically been bought in the sense that no one has made an offer for him. But yeah, exciting to see a new player come on and see what they can do. Yep. And his name is Teenage Hadibi. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing that. He plays in the Turkish league, and we'll give you a little bit more information on the written preview for that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely more depth is always nice to have, and it's something that could, looking outside the X's and O's, something that will definitely reinforce this Houston side because it's kind of like the only weakness they have. so far that we've seen throughout these games. Like, remember their midweek fixture, and then that game on Saturday,
We're not talking about that.
yeah, that was rough, man. They had to like sub out a bunch of players, and we saw a couple new players that we haven't even seen this season. So yeah, I think depth for this Houston side is a big plus. Funny enough, you do bring up Vera, but it seems like Derek Jones is finding form. Who would you go? Who would you decide there between Vera and Derek Jones, given what you've seen now, and also given the way Houston likes to play the game?
If I would tell Ramos, it would be situational more than like personal. In the sense that with Vera, you know what you're getting. He's consistent. He will rarely mess up. The only game I think I've seen him kind of have a lapse is against Portland, and I believe the second goal of the game, if I recall correctly. Derek Jones, I think he has more upside just because of his natural talents, his defensive work rate. Technically, though, he's a little bit, I don't want to say inferior, but he's I would say a little bit less composed than Vera at certain times under pressure on the ball. So you do lose that on that. But I definitely see Derek Jones as the long-term option. If you start giving him more minutes, get him time to grow, and get him used to playing. And if the Dynamo is able to push for a playoff spot, I would definitely push for Derek Jones getting more minutes now, which I didn't actually agree to or think was going to be a realistic option after his first game, because he didn't have a bad game, but he didn't have a great game. But he has slowly improved every single game, just like Urruti. So it's good to see that we have at least a couple of additional options in the midfield. But you bring it up, though, depth. I don't think Houston center back depth is terrible right now. It's pretty good. I mean, you have two solid ones. I think Oscar and Tim Parker are definite starters to me. But you also have Figueroa that could easily come in. He's done pretty well in the minutes he's gotten. I would actually think the Dynamo need more depth on the winger position, because you have Lassiter, for example, that could play really well. Like, he's definitely a good player. You have Memo Rodriguez that can play anywhere, in my opinion, and he'll do well. And he's been playing the left lane position when Tyler Pastor's out. But I prefer Memo at midfield, so I wouldn't want to push him up. Lassiter is good, but if Tyler Pastor gets injured and I want to keep Memo down in the midfield, do I see Lassiter as like a 90-minute player for the rest of the season? Maybe not. Maybe we need to find a second option. So I actually see Houston's like biggest room, or biggest opportunity in finding another Tyler Pasher to have in the mix in case anything happens, or in case you're down, like let's say in a game like 1-0, 80th minute, who do you put in? Having another option besides Lassiter would be really good to see. But that's not to say Lassiter had a bad game. He did pretty good against Vancouver. He was pretty solid, and definitely should be getting more minutes down the line as a power sub, or maybe as a starter, depending on the game.
Yeah, that's a really good point you bring up, and I didn't think of it that way. I just thought of depth as a whole. But why do you think, and sorry to put you on the spot a little bit on here, why do you think they're going for this player exactly? If they do have good depth in that position, I agree with you that they do have good depth in that position. So what do you think the thought process is on trying to sign this player?
I think it's the same thought process they had when they signed Tim Parker. It was the biggest weakness they had in 2020. It could still be a huge weakness going into deep into the season if someone gets hurt. Because if you have Oscar or Tim Parker get hurt, it gets a little bit tricky on what you do. So I think they're just reinforcing what used to be their biggest weakness. Again, I don't think it's I don't think it'll hurt them down the line. I believe the player is valued at $975K. So they'll still have room to get something else if they want to. They have 2 free DP slots that I don't think they'll get used, but that they could get used. So they're not limiting themselves by getting the center back. I think they could still get what I think they need in a second option at winger. But I'm curious to see if they actually go through with it or whether it's a one and done with the center back, which would be my concern, at least initially, because unlike Austin, that, for example, in my opinion, has a lot of depth everywhere except striker. And unlike Dallas, who basically has two full starting 11s, I think that'll be the biggest like issue for Houston going into the like not only into the playoffs but deep into the season. Any injuries, any like any drops in form. Like Urruti has Ramirez. Ramirez scored a goal in his only game. I think once you start giving him more minutes, we'll be good. We have Lassiter to replace, let's say, Tyler Pasher if he gets hurt. Mema can go up for Fafa if we need both to replace them. Vera can come in. Siren can come in. But when you start making that much rotation and moving players around from their ideal spot, we're going to get a repeat of Colorado where I feel like it wasn't necessarily communication, but a lack of familiarity with their new roles. And the playoffs are a one and done. You can't afford to have a game like Colorado. So I would prefer to find one player to fill the gap than to move a lot of players like Tab Ramos had to do in his game packed week 5, I believe.
Yep. Absolutely. That's a great take. And going back to like the Colorado game, it's sometimes like you're talking about in these like kind of knockout style games. Is in the Colorado game, I wouldn't say Houston played particularly like bad. It just so happened that Colorado literally just put every chance they had in the back of the net. And sometimes that's the way it goes. But definitely having a couple of their starters absent did not help. Javi, when you look at this team and compare it to your beloved Austin, what are some things that you wish Austin and Josh Wolf's side, or Josh Wolf can kind of learn from the Dynamo and Tab Ramos?
Playing, I mean, just the intensity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think from a mental standpoint, I think this is kind of, I mean, I think it's hard for even Austin as well, just because they're a new team.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just figuring out how the league is. But that one being that playing with playing with the right energy levels, right intensity levels, being mentally strong. Another thing I think that they could take note from Houston is kind of deciding, I guess, when I feel like with Houston, they kind of they're really good at deciding when to press the ball, I would say, when they need to press. And I feel like with Austin, their decision making on when to press is not really good. And then when they do press, they don't press all at the same time. So they kind of don't have that, I guess, chemistry on when they need to press together. So I think a lot of it is just team cohesion, team chemistry, which I think is just something that has to be built over time. But another thing is how clinical I feel like Houston has been when they go on attack, and the shots that they had on target. Because I mean, what we saw with Austin, and then comparing it to how many shots they put up, and then how many they had on target. It's just like it's like apples and oranges. Like because Austin only had like what 12 shots and one was on target.
Yeah,
Whereas
that's rough.
Whereas like Houston had like 11 shots, and I think I see 9 on target if I'm not mistaken, or maybe something little. But I mean, it was more. It was a couple of shots on target at least.
9 on target, 8 on target, 1 on target. Don't matter. Houston gonna win easy.
Yeah. So I mean, I think but I mean, I think it's a lot of things that they can learn. But I think a lot of it's just it's something that like as in like how creative they can be in the final third. pressing at the right times and just having better mental, being mentally strong. And I think this is something that they'll just have to learn over time, and maybe after. I mean, it sucks because I think that it will be better next season because they will have known how the league has been and how it is. But I just hope that they can get to that point sooner than after the season ends.
Yep.
But yeah,
Absolutely. Because I mean, the game against Vancouver, we saw Vancouver have around 60, 61% of the ball, where Houston only had like 39 to 40, but they were able to create a high number of chances relative to the low possession, whereas Austin against Nashville had the majority of the ball, but almost created nothing with it. So yeah, definitely there in terms of trying to get some better final third quality and also intensity, because sometimes it doesn't really matter. Of course, depending on how the matchup goes, how you play, but or what you play doesn't really matter. What matters is how you play and the intensity you bring to the pitch and trying to implement those ideas. Quickly for me, I think a big takeaway from the Vancouver game, and honestly, I think these last two games for Houston has been Ramos's continual or showing his confidence or continuing to show his confidence in Derek Jones. And I think for good reason. Look, Jones can, most definitely provide that physical and quote unquote athletic presence on the pitch, but I think he can do so without sacrificing too much technical play. And you tell me if I'm off here, Oscar, once I'm done with like my little bit, but he has.
I always disagree with you. So,
so he's super active off the ball, right? I think it's a big reason why Houston lately has been really good defensively, on top of the system, of course. But, this last game, he had 13 presses, which is second most behind El Matador Urruti, along with 4 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 2 blocks. And those are around the top 3 or 4 on the field that day, or for Houston that day. But impressively for me, when looking a little deeper into the game, he led the team in pass completion. He completed about 89% of his passes and created 3 shot and had 3 shot creating actions. So in short, he fits the puzzle piece that Houston's model kind of requires and how they want to play and win games. But he also kind of gives Houston something, or he gives Houston, that technical play that sometimes is important to create that final third magic. So moving forward, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ramos kind of delegate to Jones a little more than Vera. But like Oscar noted earlier, and I think he kind of won me over there, it could be kind of a match to match basis depending on who the opponent is and what areas they need to strengthen.
How am I going to disagree with you if you agree with me? That's my question.
True. Very. It was just the very bit at the end. At the very end. All right.
I just don't think the nickname's is gonna fly in the pod. But
wait, what? See.
I just don't think that nickname's gonna cut it. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's what I took out from your whole spiel.
All right, Dallas
resident. Is the nickname?
Yep. Wait, what?
I literally have never lived in Dallas.
I swear this man bleeds red. Am I wrong?
Red. It's like McKinney? My second to least favorite color.
No, you bleed red, right? Oscar?
I bleed orange. You said dash.
I swear he bleeds red.
No, dude, we're forever orange. We're hold it down.
Okay, Javi, I think.
I just want to say Javi has written awesome stories, and Sylvia has mostly written Dallas stories, and that should tell you everything.
Stories. What was it? Javi, but for you, I think the Austin jersey is kind of like the symbiote from Spider-Man 3. It's slowly taking over, and you're soon gonna just be full on verde.
Javi's an Austin fan.
I'm already there.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get the home opener ticket tomorrow.
Yeah, so. I'm already there. All right, quickly. Sorry guys. Unless you guys have anything else to add on the Vancouver game, but I think we're good to quickly move on to the the preview for this weekend's game against Kansas City.
Let's go.
All right.
I'm good for the preview.
Houston has a rematch against Kansas City next Saturday at Children's Mercy Park. Houston won their last encounter 1-0, but they did so without Moneyball Pasher and will look to do the same, but this time with a healthier roster. Oscar, what do you think the keys are for Houston in this game, and what do they need to watch out for in this Kansas side?
I think so we have Tyler Pastor back. He'll be a definite benefit to the team. I think he starts, unless Tab Ramos sees something else on the pitch. I think he starts. Fafa or Ruti starts. In this situation, I definitely think Derek Jones starts. I think he had his best game against Kansas. It was crazy how well he played. In terms of the key things, I think offensively, with or without Tyler, you keep doing what you're doing, stick to the plan, the consistency. The one game where we didn't play the same, we lost terribly. So keep it how it's going. I do think Tab Ramos will have to shift things in game, according to how Kansas comes out. Because it's a rematch. So what I can see happen is that they're going to get pressed more in the mid third when Jones is on the ball. Because although he's not a huge liability, and he's not even I would say a liability, he's just not as comfortable yet on the ball like Vera. So they might push for him to play off quicker. That, to a certain extent, will play into what Tab Ramos wants anyways, because he wants his players to play quick. I think the difference will be the positioning you see Memo kind of take. Because against Sporting Kansas, he played the left wing. I think he'll drop back down to midfield. And I think he's going to be I would say a shorter outlet for Derek Jones to look for and let him carry the ball up the pitch or set the play up the pitch alongside Corona. Because last time you had Corona and Vera, and it was good. It was solid. It won the game, but it wasn't as dynamic as we seen Houston, for example, against San Jose, right? So yeah, I think the key will be for Derek Jones to find outlets, specifically, in my opinion, most likely to Rodriguez. On the full back end, I would like to see what they've been doing the past few games, which is where either Adam or Valentin kind of sits back a little bit, but still have, I would say, a very significant presence. In the last game, you saw Valentin, if not lead, be near the top in passes / touches throughout the whole game. So you see that they do have a role, even if they don't push up for, example, a cross. They could still have a role in the build-up that I think is even more beneficial, because it frees up Memo or Corona to push up a little bit more. It frees up the wingers to not have to drop as much, like we saw Fafa have to do against Kansas City at times. So just give them a little bit more rain, the opposition's own half, and make sure that they're just able to do what they need. We touched on it on the Austin podcast. It's the coach's job to get the team to the final third. I think Ramos has done that excessively well this season.
Mm-hmm.
And in the mid third, I think all of the players we've had this year, for the most part, have performed best when you just let them do their own thing.
Yeah,
pretty simple.
Yep, and it's a recipe that's worked so far for the Dynamo. I think a key player for Houston to shut down this upcoming game is Alan Pulido, who is the top goal scorer for Kansas City. He has 4 goals to his name. He also leads the league in total shots per 90, has the third most total shots with 26, and is ranked around top 10 for both expected goals and non-penalty expected goals. So obviously, Pulido is Kansas's goal machine, but Houston will have to minimize the time and space they give him on the ball to avoid this goal-hungry forward from putting the ball in the back of the net. But I think these last couple of games for Houston, they've been able to shut down offenses pretty well. So I wouldn't be surprised if in larger stints of or in big stints of the game we see Pulido kind of I don't know, not shine as bright as he has lately for Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, if Derek Jones, kind of like, I wouldn't say he marked them like man marked, but he was definitely there when he needed to. If they just have Derek Jones there, I'm not even worried about Pulido. If Derek Jones is a good game,
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely they definitely have to watch him. But I think Derek Jones
That's interesting.
will more than solve the problem.
Yeah, that's interesting you bring that up. I like that. Well, that sounds like a pretty good idea. Just put, big bad Derek Jones on him. Just man mark him out of the game. We have to see that it doesn't pull Derek Jones too out of position, because I do think Tab Ramos kind of has that similar 4-4-2 pressing system, which Jones is definitely a big part of. So hopefully it doesn't drag him, away from his key area that he needs to kind of guard. But yeah, that's definitely a good idea. I think that could definitely work to shut down Pulido's firepower.
I only have good ideas, Silvio. Thank you for the obvious things. But anyway,
just passive
as I
aggressive.
bully Silvio for my own enjoyment, just for no reason whatsoever.
It's because he's a Dallas resident. It's changed him. It's fine. It's okay.
I don't know. He hyped me up at like at 2 p.m. He's like, just you wait for the Uruti nickname.
Javi, that's a good one. And Matador, that's a good one. Come on.
It's not bad, but like in comparison to what you've provided in the past.
Yeah, maybe I set the bar too high like Lucci.
La lechuga roca. El venado. Another nickname.
We could have a podcast on just like Spanish or like Latin players, or just South and Central American player nicknames. They're the best. Oh my god, we should do that actually. You know what? We're gonna put that like on a little sticky note and put that later on for like an off-season thing. We'll rank the best nicknames for soccer players out there. What do you think? I think that's definitely
down.
Yeah.
That would be so fun. And then let the people who listen give the comment and give us any ones that we might have missed or anything like that.
100%. That'd be so good.
I think you just mentioned it. The Uruti nickname isn't bad. It's not funny like Fafinho and Moneyball Passion.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase my statement. That you let me down, Sylvia. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What else to say?
I'll try better next time. Just let me know what player, and then I'll just tinker with nicknames all weekend while we watch the MLS games. All right, quickly guys, what are your score predictions for this Kansas City Houston game?
I think we see another 1-0 victory from Houston. But I think it'll be a lot closer than the last game. I think Kansas is gonna be better prepared for Houston's system now that it's clear that they like playing that way and that they don't play well outside of that system, or just are not as well. But I think Houston will take another 3 points here.
Okay, Javi, what do you think the score will be for El Dynamo?
Yeah, I think Dynamo. I think the Dynamo win as well. I'm thinking the scoreline will probably be 2-1. I think Dynamo will get a late winner to win the game.
That's what I was thinking too.
Who scores? El Matador.
El Matador.
He's just, I don't know. He's so good. He's clinical. He does. He's like that old school number 9.
Yeah,
that just,
he does his job.
Just knows what he's doing.
When he needs to be incorporated as a target man, he does the job. When he needs to press, he provides the intensity. When he has one shot on target or just has one chance to put in the back of the net, he scores. I mean, what else can you ask from a number 9? I definitely think El Matador gets on the scoreboard, and it would be nice to see either one of the other two players that I've nicknamed either Fafinho or Pasher, Moneyball Pasher, get on the scoreboard along with Ruti. But I think it's gonna be a grindy 2-1-0 or 2-1, excuse me, victory for the Houston Dynamo. I think they grind this out in good old Dynamo fashion.
Question. I don't know if y'all saw the rumors that have been stirring around, but Messi might be leaving. So do you think he comes to the Dynamo? Get some MLS action.
He goes to Austin before he goes to Dynamo.
That's honestly not a bad thing.
This man said forever orange, but he's saying, all right, no comment.
I mean, are the Dynamo really gonna like basically sell BBVA just for Messi?
He's not coming for the money. He's coming for the city.
Okay, that's a good. He's coming for the city. Oh,
if he's going for any city, he's going to Miami.
Age hold it down. And my sister, we live next to the house he just bought, so I'm out. Let's go. I got I'll wait outside his building every day.
Miami.
Part of the bourgeois. I see. Part of the bourgeois.
Bourgeois. Well, anything else, guys?
No, I think that's it for this pod. So quickly, you guys can find me on Twitter at SPrietoJR. Guys, where can people find you on social media?
Well, JIOR16.
Adame_Hav.
You guys can also find at Final Third Pod on Twitter. Make sure to follow that. The Instagram page should be the same handle. We also have a website, finalthirdpod.com, where you guys can find all our MLS blogs, along with a couple pieces on the dash that Oscar has written that are really good, and I recommend you guys checking that out. You guys can also find out podcasts on pretty much every platform you can think of that provide podcast. Make sure to follow, subscribe, rate the pod. It really helps us grow. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for this one. Thank you to the listeners for tuning in, and hopefully you guys catch us all in the next one. Peace.